Dr. Robert Miller was a man of science, a visionary in the field of quantum physics. He had spent years developing technology that could manipulate the way humans perceived reality. But his most groundbreaking invention was born out of love. Love for his daughter, Emily. Emily was born blind. Despite countless medical consultations, there was no cure for her condition. But Robert refused to accept that. As a physicist, he believed that the brain did not need functional eyes to see. It simply needed the right data. And so, he poured his knowledge and resources into creating the quantum phase corrective lenses. They weren't ordinary glasses. These lenses did not merely enhance vision, they restructured the way the human brain processed light and reality itself. Robert was certain they would work, but nothing could prepare him for what they would reveal. On the night of Emily's 12th birthday, Robert presented her with the glasses. She hesitated, but put them on. Instantly, her dull, sightless eyes widened in shock. Tears streamed down her face as she gasped, "I can see!" For the first time in her life, Emily saw the world. She described colors, objects, and faces she had only imagined. It was a miracle, at least for the first few days. Then, the screaming started. At first, Emily would complain of strange movements at the edge of her vision, shadows that didn't belong. At night, she sobbed, refusing to remove the glasses, but terrified of what she saw. "It's all wrong," she whimpered. "The world is alive." Robert dismissed it as her brain adjusting. He insisted that the glasses were only showing her reality as it truly was. But Emily began to deteriorate. She stopped sleeping, eating, or even speaking. Then one night, she broke. Emily stood in the middle of her room, shaking violently. "Daddy?" she whispered, her voice hoarse from screaming. "We're inside something." Robert frowned. "Inside what?" She turned to face him, her pupils dilated. "It's not air, it's not space. We're in a stomach." Robert felt a chill run down his spine. "This world isn't real," she continued, hyperventilating. "The walls, the sky, they're flesh. The sun isn't a sun, it's an eye." Emily clawed at the glasses, trying to rip them from her face, but Robert stopped her. "Sweetheart, it's just your mind playing tricks on you." But then, he saw it too. For the briefest moment, reflected in Emily's lenses, Robert saw the room shift, pulsating, breathing. The walls were no longer plaster and paint, but a writhing, veined membrane. The ceiling oozed with thick, dark liquid. And outside the window, beyond the artificial trees and artificial sky, something vast loomed, watching. Robert became obsessed. He spent days analyzing the glasses, adjusting their settings, trying to convince himself that Emily's experience was a hallucination. But every test he ran only reinforced one conclusion. The glasses weren't malfunctioning. They were revealing something real. He put them on again, this time prepared for what he might see. At first, everything looked normal. But as he adjusted the quantum frequency, his stomach turned. The world rippled, shifting like disturbed water. Streets were lined with grotesque, fleshy growths disguised as trees. The sky was not blue, but an unfathomable, twisting void of organic matter. People walking down the street weren't people at all, only shapes wearing human skin, their movements awkward and unnatural. Robert ripped the glasses off, his breath shallow. He stumbled into his study, frantically flipping through his notes, trying to make sense of what he had seen. Was this what Emily had been suffering through? How long had they been living in this fabricated reality? And then, the knocking started. At first, it was faint, a slow, rhythmic tap, 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 at the front door. Robert ignored it, convinced it was just paranoia. But the tapping grew louder, more persistent. When he finally gathered the courage to peek outside, his heart stopped. Figures stood on his lawn. Dozens of them, faceless, motionless. Their heads tilted unnaturally, as if listening. Then one stepped forward. A voice, deep, guttural, echoed in Robert's mind, though the figure had no mouth. "You were not meant to see." Robert slammed the door, and ran to Emily's room, but it was too late. The glasses were back on her face, and she was smiling. "They're real faces," she whispered. "They're here." Emily tore the glasses from her face. She let out an ear-piercing scream and collapsed to the floor, convulsing. Robert rushed to her side, but her eyes, once full of wonder, were now empty sockets, red with blood. She had clawed them out. The quantum glasses were destroyed. Robert burned his research, his notes, everything. But the truth could not be unseen. Days later, he vanished. His laboratory was found abandoned, his computers fried, and his house left in eerie silence. Emily was placed in psychiatric care, never speaking another word. But one phrase was scribbled repeatedly into the walls of her room: "We are being digested." No one knows what Robert discovered that night. Some believe he tampered with forces beyond human comprehension. Others think he simply went mad. But there are whispers that his technology still exists. And if you ever find a pair of glasses unlike any other, do not wear them. For what you see might consume you, just like it did Emily. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eerie tales. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let me know in the comments what you think really happened to Robert. See you in the next video.